Right. Hello, ladies. How y'all doing?
What's up, girl?
Good. Good. Yeah, so we have a wonderful, amazing, awesome guest with us, one of our other social media sisters here today. Anissa, how are you, my love?
I am great, highly blessed, and favored. How are you?
Right.
That's
I
right.
miss you again, girl. Like, we both needed to remind ourselves of that today.
That's
How,
right.
how has your day been?
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came home from work and de-stressed and got ready for this.
Right.
Good.
Yes, girl.
Good.
So
Awesome.
we both had long days today. So we're just gonna let Jesus take that will, and we're gonna. So we have you here, as you know. We started the social media sister segment because we on our channel, when we do our videos together, there's a lot of topics we talk about that we discuss and we have personal experience with. We feel there's so many other topics that need to be discussed that we don't personally have a story to share, but it's important, especially when it comes to women, right? And your story is one of those, your journey, your story is one of those topics that we're really eager to talk about. So there's no better way to do it than to be able to have somebody on who can speak about it from personal experience, right? So do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your journey and your presence on social media?
Okay, so my name is Anissa. I am 30 years old. I have been married to my husband for 2 years. Been dating for 5 years before that, so we've been together 7 years. My journey, let's see. My journey is funny because honestly, like I never wanted kids. And I know that sounds weird, but I didn't see myself having kids. Like that was just not for me because I didn't have the time for that. Like that's just crazy.
Right.
But then I met my husband and that changed.
Great.
So I guess it starts really from when I got pregnant in 2017 and then I miscarried is when we really started to like actively like try to get pregnant because that was a spontaneous pregnancy.
Right.
But like I knew all along that I had PCOS and I knew all along that I couldn't have children naturally, but that was just Jesus going, but still, I'm still here. But so like I would say for like 4.5, 5 years, we've been trying on and off. So that's where we are now. It's not for the weak, I tell you that. It is not for the weak.
It's no joke. And I think it's so interesting that you started off saying that you didn't want kids, because we have a video called like motherhood taboos, and that was one of them, like it being okay for women to not want to have children. So it's interesting to see how that was kind of your narrative, and then when you start to see that family dynamic when you get with your husband, that changes.
Right.
Is the PCOS like the leading reason, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, of course. So that is my main reason why I cannot have children.
Right.
PCOS sucks. I will say that it truly sucks. And unfortunately, I have all three types of PCOS because there are 4 types of it, and I have all 3. So PCOS is insulin resistance, inflammation, adrenal, and post-pill PCOS. So just to break down what that is, insulin is when your body does not process insulin properly. So it develops in your blood instead of where it's supposed to be, like in your liver and things. So it can lead to type 2 diabetes. Thankfully, I don't have that, but I have the symptoms of it. So I have the obesity and the no periods and all of those things. Inflammation, constantly, I'm always swelling everywhere.
Right.
Adrenal is male hormones, so I have a lot of those. Like I get the chest. I have a little fine chest hair. Very hairy. I have facial hair. What's the last one? Oh, and the post pill one is just I don't have that, but what that is prolonged abuse of birth control. It's temporary though. So it's not like the other 3 where it's more permanent. The last one is actually temporary. So it can be reversed once you stop abusing birth control.
Right.
Yeah.
I share your same sentiments, Anissa. Like I'm also a PCOS sister. Like
hey, sister.
But it's definitely life altering. It's just something that you could never really prepare for, and it sucks that it's something that can prevent you from doing, from having children or just living a normal life.
Right.
And I also have one of my personal videos is me coming to terms with my diagnosis and learning about it. So I definitely hear what you're saying. And, it when you said it's not for the weak, it's definitely
really
not. And I respect, like to have that be the altering reason is just, we women, we go through a lot. And I hear you, and I respect your journey. Another thing I respect about you, Anissa, is the fact that you're so transparent on social media about your story and your background, and I think that takes another level of strength to be that vulnerable and be that open about your journey. So, can you mind explaining to us, like, when was the turning point where you decided to when did you want to start putting your story out there for the world to see and learn about you?
Okay, so after we had our miscarriage, I went to my gynecologist and we talked about how to prevent the next one, because when you have one miscarriage, you're at risk for having the next one. So she gave me some fertility medicine called Clomid. And it was just a pill I had to take for 3 months and just do and see what happens. And when 2 cycles of that failed, she was like, all right, I think you need to go do advanced fertility treatments. So growing up being Black in New York in the hood, you don't know nothing about that stuff, and all you know is test tube babies. So I didn't want no test tube babies. So what I did was I was like, let me go research what advanced fertility treatments are. Right. And when I tell you that I didn't see anything that resembled my skin color, my race, my ethnicity, I felt like how we all feel when we're left out of things. Just like, what about us? Do we not face these things as well? Right. So there was literally one page or person rather that I saw on YouTube and had a blog who was talking about infertility amongst Black women. Only one person, only 2 people. That's it. You know how many Black people are in the United States? And then no, we're not. Those 2 and me are not the only people.
Of course.
So that is what really was like, all right, you got to get out of there, because you're speaking from 2 realms. You're Black and you're Puerto Rican. So you speaking from 2 realms, because there's a lot of myths around Hispanic women and fertility. Like, we are hyper fertile. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're not. People see Mexican women and be like, oh, all Spanish people can have multiple. No, we can't. Sorry. That's just not how life works. I wish, but no. Exactly. So that's what really made me want to do that, because there are no faces out there that look like me. There's no one going through what I'm personally going through. So that's also another thing. I also wanted to just talk about, because a lot of women, the women that I do see, they talk about themselves specifically, and that's it. And I was like, I want to do something different. I want to talk about me, but I also want to talk about my marriage and how it affects my marriage. And I wanted to talk about my husband and how he is affected by it. So when I created my website, I had my husband create his version of the story, and he titled it The Black Male Perspective. So he wrote everything that he has been going through on the other side of it.
Wow, that's interesting.
So So
I love that.
I really just want to educate, and I'm very, very transparent, because I feel like, why am I going to hide this part of this and show this part? This could be people over here that needed this part, not this part. So definitely. I know, like, when you put yourself out there on social media, it can be a little catch-22, but I figure I'll take that because God's gonna cover me either way. As long as I'm getting this information out, that's all that needs. I'm doing, what God has ordained me to do. So I'm gonna do that.
Girl, say it again, girl.
That's right. Yeah.
That's really interesting though, because a lot of people don't stop to think about and this I'll say from like similar experience, like from before I had my daughter, I also had troubles conceiving for a very long time. And people don't stop to think about how we have to deal with how it affects us, how we feel physically and emotionally, but the bearing it has on our significant other.
Yeah.
And then especially when they want the same thing you want, and that feeling of I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it. It's not
for me, right. It's failure. Because I know where you're going, stuff. Like, I feel that way all the time. Like, I look at my husband, I just be like, I am failing as a wife. And I know it's not something I can control, but I just can't help but feel that way. That's gonna make me cry. Let me get
girl, we right here. That's why we're talking about this, girl.
I picked the towel. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, and he always tells me like, oh babe, you don't need to feel that way. And I'm just like, you don't get it. You want this. I was placed on this earth to give you this, and I can't. I can't.
Now you gonna make me grab my tissue. Stop. Stop it.
So yeah. All right, let's talk about positive stuff so we don't cry. Yeah, I know,
right? I did have a question for you, Anissa, like off script, I guess, if you want to say that, because I like how you mentioned about like black and brown women and the experience that we go through and these misconceptions and these biases that society places on us when it comes to conceiving. So I wanted to ask you, have you ever ran into a situation with like certain gynecologists or doctors who weren't as honest and truthful with you or transparent with you, or just wanted to, diagnose you with any old thing or just throw medication at you instead of trying to understand your situation? Like, because we, I just wanted to see if you had that experience.
I have two specific ones that stand out.
Okay.
So when I was pregnant in 2017, I started, literally the day I found out I was pregnant, I bled the next day. So I immediately ran to my GYN clinic, and my specific GYN wasn't there, so I had to see the head doctor. Okay. And he was very insensitive. And this is coming from someone who was Spanish, by the way. But he was very insensitive. He just kept saying like spontaneous abortion, you're aborting your baby. And I'm just like, could you stop saying those words? Like, an abortion is a choice. That's not what is going on here. Like, that's not what's happening. And he was like, well, that's what it is. I said, well, no. So then that was that situation. And then my second situation is with my current reproductive endocrinologist. When I did my second intrauterine stuff, the IUI stuff, couldn't think of the word, sorry. When I did the IUI, my second IUI, so the protocol is they put you on progesterone supplements if you are not producing enough on your own. So he put me on this medicine called endometrium, and it was a suppository. So I had to take it 2 times a day, once in the morning, one in the night. So when the morning came, I inserted the endometrium, and immediately my whole abdomen was tight and I couldn't breathe.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm calling, and I'm like, I am having a reaction to this medication.
Right.
Answering the phones. My nurses weren't emailing me back. So I remember I had to go out to do something in East Flatbush. I think to go see my mother-in-law. So I'm driving, and I had this pain that is considerably close to a miscarriage kind of pain. And I jerked my car. Thankfully, there were no cars next to me. There were no people, because that's scary. And of course. My doctor did not call me till the day after. I didn't take the second suppository only took
Right.
by the way, I felt that way for 3 days, like really tight and everything. And at the time, I was a part of a Facebook fertility group, and I was talking to them about it. And it was like, "Oh, you have COVID," because I said I couldn't breathe, and this was at the height of COVID. So I was like, "Okay, we're not talking to you people anymore. This is not COVID. I don't go anywhere, so this is not COVID." So he calls me the next day, and he is like, "Oh, explain to me what's going on." So I'm explaining to him, and he's like, "Oh, you have kidney problems. How do you not examine me and look at my blood or anything and say I have kidney problems?"
Exactly.
And he solely said that because he asked me how much I was urinating, and I told him I urinate every 15 to 20 minutes. I was a little bit exaggerative, but I have that Amazon jug that has like the times on it. I have that big old jug, and I drink that like every day.
Right.
So you're gonna pee every 15 to 20 minutes.
I know.
I have kidney problems. So I was so annoyed. So I dealt with my pain for 3 days. I went in to take my blood pregnancy test, and the phlebotomist who I was cool with, she noticed that my face wasn't as bubbly as it is when I go there. And she was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Well, if I was white, I probably would have got answered the phone call." And I was explaining to her what was going on. Like, I felt marginalized.
Yep.
And he called me immediately on my ride home, because my doctor's on Long Island. He called me on my ride home and was like, "Oh, why do you feel, like the color of your skin was because you're not listening to me, sir? Like, what is the problem?"
And because that's historically how it's always been. Like, that's not new.
What about this you weren't understanding? If I was white and I said I had a reaction to a medication, I would immediately been told to stop the medication.
That's
right. I wouldn't have been told I had kidney problems.
That's right.
So those are the two that.
Yeah. That's crazy. And not to mention that people think that Black people have a high tolerance for pain.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. So there was a study that was done in 2016. Hear me when I say that, 2016, of the interns that just graduated from medical school. Who are your current doctors right now, FYI? They were asked, do they feel Black people feel pain? And they said no. They think our skin is thicker. And the sheer volume of ignorance in 2016 is beyond me.
It's horrible.
2016, a study done in 2016 of your current doctors now who are like attendings now. That's crazy. That's crazy. How can you sit there and assess me as a person of color and then tell me that I don't feel pain?
Right.
That's crazy. And also, like, I've seen videos on Instagram of women in labor screaming, "I need help, I'm in pain." And the white nurses are sitting there telling them, "You're fine." And then these women have complications, or these women die, or these women need cesareans, and they don't. Just attention.
Yes, I can personally relate to that. When I was supposed to be induced with my daughter, and there was a white person who came after me, put in front of me to go into my room where I was supposed to be.
Wow.
Yes. So that right there is so real. It's so real. As if her contractions were worse than mine.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so
they view it as you can take your contractions more better than she can because she's white.
Yeah.
And it to me, like, I don't know about you guys, but that sounds a little crazy to me, because y'all supposed to be the superior race, but y'all can't take pain.
Girlfriend.
Y'all can't do nothing. So, like,
girl,
how y'all superior?
I mean, we can leave it right there.
I'm just saying, like, it doesn't make sense to me.
The truth is the truth.
I'll back you up into portion on that 100%, girl. So, just to divvy down back to the treatment. When did you decide that you were ready to take another course of action? And how has that been going for you?
So I've done 3 cycles of IUI, which is how we say in the hood, the turkey basting.
Right.
And honestly, the first one that I did, I was very confident about it. I was super excited. I was that person, unfortunately, who was like, I'm going to get pregnant on the first try.
Right.
And I remember I did it, I think in June, and the country was still shut down. So I was doing Instacart to just make a little side money. And I remember sitting at Walmart in Valley Stream when my doctor called me and they were like, you're not pregnant. And I just broke down in the parking lot crying nonstop. My husband wasn't with me. He was at work. So that was even worse because I was by myself at that. So yeah, that was traumatizing. And then the second one, I had a nurse who was very rough with my vagina. And when I told her she was hurting me, she got upset. Oh, she was putting a speculum in, ramming it in. And I'm like, lady, like that hurts.
Right.
Oh, it's not hurting. Well, put some lube on it because it feels like it's burning. Like, could you just she had all kinds of attitudes. Mind you, she was pregnant. She had all kinds of, I don't know if it was her hormones or what, but she was, I don't know. So the second IUI was with the endometrium. So I knew I wasn't pregnant the second one. I didn't feel happy or anyway I was just like, I'm not pregnant. Some self-negative talk, unfortunately. The third IUI, I felt confident about that one because I remember that when my nurse did it, I experienced some cramping and I never felt the cramping the first 2 times. And she was like, oh, that's the perfect spot to release the sperm because we're right at the wall of your uterus. Still failed. And I did everything. I ate the pineapples. I got the McDonald's fries. I'm gonna get into those. And still wasn't pregnant. So I took 3 months off because I was annoyed and I was tired and my body needed a break.
Yes.
And also I wanted to reconnect with my husband because everything was clinic. And there was just nothing about us. Right. So I took 3 months off and I called my doctor and I asked to speak to him in person. So when I went to the office, he's like, oh, well, if you want to just start another cycle, you don't have to call him. You didn't have to come in for that. I said, no, I need to talk to you.
That's right.
I said, what happened with the endometrium, will not happen again. That was completely unprofessional. And for you to tell me that I had kidney problems and you didn't examine me, that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, and I also told him, I said, I'm not doing any more IUI cycles. They're not working. They're not, you know what's going to work for me. So let's just get on it.
That's right.
So like with PCOS, IUI really isn't the best treatment. They like to push that because unfortunately, insurance companies are cheap. So they don't pay for nothing. And IVF is a $20,000 process without medication. Medication is an additional $5,000.
Wow.
Not including your co-pays and things like that. Right. So insurance companies weren't paying for that. So I'm like, write a letter to my insurance, tell them this is not working. We've done this 3 times. Let's go. Let's move on to IVF. I'm ready to move on. Okay. Well, he did that and I got approved for my first IVF. So my first IVF cycle was in February-ish, like towards the end of February. I started they gave me Provera. So what that is I don't menstruate at all, like ever, maybe once a year, if that, but I don't ever menstruate. So they have to give me a medicine called Provera to bring my period. So they gave me that. I came in on cycle day number 3 to get my blood and then to start the injections. Now, here's another problem I had.
Tell us, girl.
So again, I've posted in my Facebook fertility group, starting my stems today. I don't want to do it because it has to go in my butt. It hurts. And they're like, why are you putting it in your butt? It's supposed to go in your stomach. You're doing it wrong, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, I was told to put it in my butt. It had to be intramuscular. So I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. Everybody puts this medicine in their stomach. Why do I have to put it in my butt? So I asked my nurse, and she was like, oh, because of your BMI, we want to make sure it gets to your body.
Wow.
You know what?
So hear me when let me just say this. So putting it in my butt is gonna make it get to my uterus faster than my abdomen.
Exactly. Yeah. Where's the like make it make sense?
Exactly. Make it make sense for me. Make it make sense.
That wow.
So I complied, and then I can't do the injections myself, so my husband had to do it. They are then I should have got the needles, but the needles are about this big, like an 18 gauge. The medicine burns when it goes in, so I had to use ice, and the icing worked until I got freezer burned because I left it on there too long. Because that burning, it's really, really bad. It's like an instant 5-second burn, but it's like the worst burn of your life.
Wow.
So normally people are on this medication, Minipure, it's called, for like 2 weeks. I wasn't on it for 2 weeks. I was on it longer because my body was not moving. So ideally they want your eggs to grow to about 20 millimeters. Mine's were at 7 and 8 for weeks. They would not move. So I couldn't take the other injections that I needed to take. Wow. And then my dad called me March 13th and said, your grandpa's in hospice. You have to come to Florida. Jet down to Florida. And I'm driving, jet down to Florida. I called my reproductive doctor. I said, I'm going to Florida. I'm taking all my medications, but I'm going to Florida. I don't want you to cancel my cycle. I'll be back, but my grandpa is dying and I need to go. My grandfather was my favorite person in the entire world. And so he's like, okay, well, try to find a clinic down there and do your monitoring, which is my blood work and my sonograms. And I found a clinic, got signed up to do everything there for the next day, because my grandfather died Tuesday. So I was supposed to go in that Wednesday to get my blood and stuff done. And my grandfather died at 11 a.m. Tuesday, March 15th. And my doctor called me Tuesday, March 15th at 12 o'clock p.m. and said, hey, I'm going to cancel your cycle because the stress that your body is going to be under due to the grief is not going to make for good transfers. And I said, okay, fine. And honestly, as weird as it sounds, I broke down, but I didn't break down about my grandfather dying. I broke down because I appreciate you canceling my cycle, but how are you going to tell me I'm going to grieve? I'm not, like, my grandfather has been sick for 14 years.
Right.
And when my dad called me and said he's in hospice, I knew. I went, I said my piece. I said, you can go. Go. Me, my cousins, my aunt, my dad, we'll be fine. Go. It's fine. We got grandma. Go. And he died the next day. And everybody was all sad and everything. And I was just like, why y'all crying? I'm jealous. He got his mansion and his golden streets. Like, I want to go where he at. I don't want to stay here.
Yeah.
So people thought I was crying because of my grandpa, and I wasn't, because I still haven't shedded a tear about that, because I'm not sad. I'm happy.
Right.
He's not
suffering. He's at peace. Right.
Exactly. And I'm like, why would you cancel my? You don't know what my body is. You don't even know if I was going to grieve.
Exactly.
That's super interesting.
Yeah. And then so right now, as it stands, I wanted to do my second cycle. I got approved to do my second cycle. But then they called me maybe last month and was like, they're doing their checks, like, oh, do you have medical clearance? Do you have this, that, and the fourth? I said, yeah, I got all of that. They called me back and was like, oh, you need to get medically cleared again. I said, why? I just got medically cleared 30 days ago. Less than 30 days ago. Why am I getting medically cleared again? Right. And she was like, oh, because of your BMI, you have to go to the doctor every 30 days. I said, I know y'all got to be out your goddamn mind because I am not going to my doctor every 30 days.
Oh,
Right.
First of all, he's not going to fill out that paper every 30 days. Like, are you stupid? I'm supposed to get an appointment exactly every 30 days on the day during COVID times.
Exactly.
Right.
To get him to fill out a paper he filled out 29 days ago. Like, are you serious?
Exactly.
So this person who called me wasn't my nurse. So I contacted my nurse and I was like, why am I doing this? I'm not doing this. And they was like, oh, well, we need it for your BMI for the anesthesiologist and And I'm like, I've been the same weight since 2017. Side note, here's the funny thing about that side note. I rant a lot, so sorry if I'm all over the place.
Oh, you're not. You're not.
We're following.
Okay, so like in 2017, before I found out I was pregnant, me and my husband were working out a lot. So PCOS really affects the way my body like digests food, processes food. So I'm not at home stuffing my face. All of this weight that I've gained in the last, how long has it been, Steph? 12 years?
Yes, girl. That's
all my PCOS. Because I got diagnosed with PCOS at 22, actually.
Okay.
So that's all that. And where was I going with this?
I know you were saying talking about how you and your husband worked out and how that.
Oh yeah. So we was working out and I had got down because my weight was around 230. I had got down to 180 and I was happy with that. Right. And then I got pregnant and for whatever reason skyrocketed to 253. And I've been that same weight for 5 years. So you're telling me that I'm going to gain weight and I need to see the doctor every 30 days. Make it make sense, people.
Exactly.
And then I was like, I'm not doing this. I said, I guess I will not be trying to have a baby because I'm not going to the doctor every 30 days. Oh. I was really furious, like furious.
I mean, that alone takes its toll on your body, going back and forth to like, I mean, honestly, like, again, would they have made you jump through all of these hurdles if you were a white? Exactly. No, they wouldn't. And the fact that they are just, they were kind of like passing judgment in terms of whether or not what type of grief. First of all, I'm very sorry. Our condolences to you losing your grandfather. But the fact that they were passing, making it seem like they were in control of how you were dealing with the passing of your grandfather. Like only you can judge how you have a conversation with me before you start canceling stuff. Like, don't do that. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of respect. And I think that's what the medical field is lacking when it comes to Black and brown people and women in particular. Hey, even one of the most famous people in the world, Serena Williams, like when she was literally, delivering her baby, like she was like, I'm in pain, and no one believed her. And she really was sick. Like she needed help. But again, they think that, that we're like non-human and we're made of steel and nothing phases us. So it's really unfortunate. It's just bad.
Women of color, specifically Black women, die 4 times higher than that of our white counterparts. We are also 12 times more likely to have a cesarean when unnecessary. Unnecessary cesareans. And that's where we die at because of cesarean, full-blown surgery. And it's unnecessary, completely unnecessary. A cesarean can be prevented no matter your color of your skin. Like they rate us on this scale of vagina birth to cesarean birth. And if you had a previous cesarean and they make you do a next one and all this nonsense. And it's just like, it's unnecessary. You're doing unnecessary. And then when you have a cesarean, you're out the door the next day. You're out the door the next day. So you cut me open from hip to hip and then I got to go home the next day with my baby. Are you crazy?
Yeah. It's horrible.
Not treated right.
Horrible. Yeah. And it's like, they just that the every 30-day things. I have a condition that puts my hormones all crazy, which in turn makes me gain weight.
Yes.
This is why we're here.
Right. You hit it right on the nail because that's exactly what I said.
Right.
So getting back to that, my doctor called me because I was like, I'm not doing this with y'all. I'm not. I guess I will just be motherless or I will adopt. I'm not doing this. And my doctor called me. He's like, hey, what's going on? He's always nonchalant. Hey, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, your nurses keep telling me that I have to go see the doctor every 30 days to get medically cleared, and I'm not doing that. He was like, that's not right. So now I'm even more infuriated because how you don't have control over your staff and they're calling your patients.
Right.
Horrible.
Like what?
Right.
No, it's not every 30 days. It's 30 days to the OR. And I'm like, okay, well, why do I have to do that? Either way, like I just gave you a medical. Nothing is going to change in 30 days. Well, because your BMI. I said that's discrimination. I said, I have polycystic ovarian syndrome. My PCOS is why my weight is the way it is. My PCOS is why we're even trying to have children. So why are you making me go to the doctor 30 days to the OR when nothing is going to change? Exactly. Well, it's just protocol. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm finding me a new doctor who got some sense then, because I'm not.
Pretty much.
Awful.
So immediately I looked up different clinics. So I have an appointment with one of the cheaper clinics up in Albany. They services only cost about $9,000 to $10,000. I have an appointment with them July 12th. And then I have another appointment with another doctor June 20 something. I forget which day it is, but June 20 something. I'm not playing with them because you have my life in your hand.
Right. That's what I was just about to say. Like, and this is another thing that needs to happen more. We have to advocate for ourselves.
Yeah.
We have to, because in somewhere along the lines, they think we're dumb.
Mm-hmm. Uneducated.
Yeah, exactly. We need them, right? Like, no. So advocating for yourself, getting what you want, getting what you know you need and your body needs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what you have to do. And like you said, this is my life.
Right.
This is my life. This aside from my appointments with you, this is affecting me daily.
Yes.
Daily. Yes. And if you can't get it together, then you're gonna have
to go find somebody who can. Exactly.
I'm saying.
Exactly.
But
and I hear you with the advocate for yourself, because we as people of color, unfortunately, are conditioned to just believe that, doctors are always right, and they're not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. And I'm learning that. And that's why, like, when I first had my first consultation with my doctor, back in 2019, right before COVID happened, he was like, okay, well, when you do get pregnant, what kind of birth do you want to have? I said, I want to have a home water birth. He's like, oh, well, that's not safe. I said, well, neither is the hospital.
Girl. Exactly.
I said, we're not designed to lay on our back for hours, okay, not eating, to deliver our baby. That's not how God designed us. Like, that's not the birthing position, number one. Squatting or laying on your side moves labor along faster. Water is much easier with your contractions. It's much safer for the baby. And no one's pulling on your baby to come out.
Right.
There's also that, because when you're in the hospital, they yank on your baby as they're pulling them out, and it's like, stop touching them.
Right.
Also, you can have delayed cord cutting, because there are studies that show that when you delay the cord for 90 seconds, the baby gets double the amount of stem cells that they'll need, that they won't even need their first 2 shots.
Wow.
So, yeah, no. And he was just like, oh, well, you should do that. No, not doing it. I'm having it. Well, do it at a birthing center. If they don't have a tub and a midwife and a doula, no.
That's right.
I don't blame you.
You have to, know what you need and what you want. And
I know my birth plan. And if it comes down to I'm in danger or the baby's in danger, then yes, I'll go to the hospital. I'm not stupid.
Right.
But I'm staying at home still, like, if I don't have
to.
Like, no.
Exactly. Yep.
Not later. I don't understand. And then the reason why you can't eat, I found this out. The reason why you can't eat for hours is because in case you have a cesarean, they don't want you to masturbate over the table.
Mm-hmm.
What? Why are you preparing for me to have a cesarean? Why can't I eat? I'm hungry.
Exactly.
The baby's hungry. It probably help them move along. Feed me.
Exactly.
Ridiculous. I'm telling you, I can't. United States of America, I tell you.
It's official. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Ding. Sistas Bonafide.